And I want to actually bring our topic to something today. It's really interesting as I was just surfing the web. Satanism, this concept
Mm,
of openly worshiping the shaitan. I know
yeah.
it sounds crazy, but it's actually on the rise in the United States and in places and spaces around us. And there's this article that it came up, and I'll tell you why, because I was on the internet and I came across this band from the UK. I don't even know how I did, called Sleep Token. There's a
Okay.
strange group of like demonic looking individuals who worship some demonic god, and they all come dressed to just check. Can you bring up just some images of Sleep Token? You have to see this, Sheikh Yasir. It's crazy. And they invite people to their concerts to come worship with us, and they're apparently very popular. But just look at these images as to how these people are dressed, and they are attracting a lot of what you would say normal looking individuals. Look at this. You just click on images on the Google there. You know, like that's a nightmare, isn't it, Sheikh Yasser? Like,
Yeah.
like if you saw individuals dressed like that, you'd be like, "What is going on?" But to pay money and go and listen to these people is crazy enough. So these guys are getting real popular. And it brought me to this article that was in Christianity Today. What a satanic statue says about American religion. This is really interesting. What happened in Iowa? Here he goes. Yeah, he's referring, of course, to the public display of, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Baphomet. This devilish looking character at the
Mm,
Iowa state capitol by the local satanic temple. This
mm,
erupted into the public debate in response to a social media post by Representative John Dunwell, an ordained pastor in the Christian and Missionary Alliance. Dunwell argued that he, like most Iowans, find the figure to be repellent and offensive, but that the state allowed it to be placed there on the grounds of government neutrality on religion and First Amendment rights. The
mm,
state did insist, he said, that the group not use an actual goat's head.
mm,
So I don't know if many people actually know what happened. This is in the Iowa state capitol, right? A state in the United States of America. They allowed this satanic group to put an idol. There's an article here that actually shows it. Let me just pull out that article. It's oh, maybe I don't. Okay, is it up there? Yeah. Well, no, this is not it. This is actually something else. But they had an idol. Let me actually just suggest, if you could look up Baphomet, the name there. I'll text it to you. Um, Actually, here it is. I found it. Let me send this to you, Sajjad, while we're together, so you can bring up this article. Nope, that's not it. No, that's not it. We're not finding it right now. Hold on one second. See, this is where everyone has to be patient with us as we're going through. Here it is. Oh, we just sent it over. We're going to open it up, and so everyone can see what's happening in Iowa. And here it is. So that's the statue that has been raised in Iowa, and it's about devil worship. And
mm.
basically, it's a ram's head covered with mirrors on a mannequin cloaked in red clothing. We're going to really relish the opportunity to be represented in public forum. We don't have a church on every street corner. This is Satanist. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us in the Quran al-Kareem, Sheikh Yasir? أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ لَا
Allah
تَعْبُدُوا
shaitan.
الشَّيْطَانَ. And growing up, probably like you, this concept of Satanism and people, giving their bay'ah, their allegiance to the devil. Like we had one or two kids in the school that were like, Satanists, but now it's something that is now openly in public. And so
Yeah.
my question is very simple. If you're going to worship Satan, why don't you worship the creator?
Yeah.
Why don't you worship God? So you acknowledge that Satan exists,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
listen, I mean, so there's, endless things to say, endless things to say. But I would just indicate here that there is the kind of the more profane and apparent representation, but then there is the endlessly sanitized version
Yes.
of Satanism. And you see that all throughout pop culture.
Yep.
So a lot of singers and pop stars and performers who proactively and openly, in a more quote unquote sanitized form and fashion, engage in Satanism and the
Yeah.
symbols. You know, my wife showed me this collage of musical artists throughout the past decades, and all of them, without fail, have this picture or like of an album cover with one eye, with like covering one eye,
Mm.
and it's like it's actually very damning. It's like, wow, all of them have the same exact. And you can, I mean, you can probably Sajjad can just search and find like collage one eyed, like you'll find it. It's
For what
all the
part?
major stars, all the pop stars, all the sanitized representations, and you have big, huge stars who talk about, you know, how they take on a new personality, like they become possessed before they go on stage, and that at home they're actually pretty shy and whatever, but then they have this like fierce, aggressive, hypersexualized, you know, disposition that comes about. So they talk about being almost proactively, they talk about being possessed. And
Yeah.
so subhanallah, you know, the shaitan, when he asked Allah, he said to God, he said, فَأَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ.
Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah, so some like one of these, like my wife showed me them, just like a huge collage. It's like similar to this one on the pinch, the one on the right here, but it's like something like that, where it's all of them. It's without fail, and it's the biggest stars that you can think of. The names that escape me and don't, but you'll find something very eerie. It's like, why are they all the same exact thing? And then why do you walk into a, you know, I'll get back to the point I was making about shaitan, but why do you walk into a department store and then the songs that are being sung and
Yeah.
you hear them are the most demonic
Terrible.
ones, where you have a singer who literally the music video is of him with Satan doing very debaucherous acts,
Yeah.
and this is a guy who like carries blood in his shoes and whatever, and engages in the most sick, sadistic, debaucherous things, and it's art, and
Yeah.
it's innocent fun, and then our children are listening to this stuff, and it's subhanallah, I mean, it's really, really unsettling things. But you know, shaitan committed himself to this, because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed him for not obeying, and then say Satan asked, فَأَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ, you know, keep me until the day they are resurrected. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ, right? You will remain, meaning that shaitan will remain as a test. And Satan's commitment was the following: لَأَحْتَنِكَنَّ ذُرِّيَّتَهُ
Mm.
لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ
Mm.
لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُم,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So all of these are what is Satan? His promise, his like, and this lam is lamut tawkid. Like, I'm going to certainly do the following. I'm going to la ahtanikannahum, means I'm going to place a bridle in their mouths, like a horse bridle. I pull them right, they go right, I go left, left. Uh, la ughwiyannahum, I'm going to dissuade them and
Mm.
deceive them. لأقعدن لهم صراطك
Mm.
المستقيم. I'm going to sit down on the straight path. So shaitan is thoroughly invested in making certain that people, you know, stay anywhere away from the obedience to God. That's his mission. He wants people to be cursed like him, because he's cursed. He wants people to be cursed like him. So people do make deals with the devil. And there's also pop stars that have spoken about this openly.
Yeah.
And it comes in ways that it's not as if Satan appears in front of you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
there are deals. I mean, there are popsters who've spoken about selling their souls.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
this, do that, have this, right, and I will guarantee you. And there's shayateen, by the way. Satan comes in the form of the jinn, but also in the human. That's why a'udhu min al-jinnati wan nas. We
Yeah.
seek refuge in shaitan from the jinn version and from the human version. So you'll have human satans who come and have you strike a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
You know, whether you consciously know that this is a deal with the devil, or it's just you're being told, if you sell this part of yourself, your soul, whatever, your values, your morals, I will guarantee you fame, success, money.
Yeah.
And so people, it's like the dunya is so tantalizing. Well, oh, please give me. That's why you have stories from our tradition that talk about people who were, destined to be killed, or that were going to be punished, and then Shaitan appears to them and says, "Well, just do this, and pledge your allegiance to me, and I will guarantee you." And then they'll come, and of course, Shaitan will not be for them. Shaitan will never care about them. Shaitan only wants their demise. And the day of judgment, the person will come and say, "Well, where are you now?" He said, "Who told you to worship me? Who
Yeah,
told you to
yeah,
follow me?"
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You
When
were
they're
going to,
all when they're burning in hell, yeah.
of course. And so, we as a community, this is not, and I hope what people appreciate, that this is not conspiratorial. Like, we understand full well that there is evil in this world, and people who desire evil, and there are forces of evil, and they want purely to see death and destruction and harm and suffering of others. And so, and if and it's not just all physical, it's spiritual corruption, it's emotional, it's psychological. And so we have to be very.
So we lost Sheikh Yasser. I think this is the second time this has happened. I think I need to get him a new internet connection. Don't know what's happening out there in New Jersey, or the satanic forces were not happy that we were discussing them. But the reality is, as Sheikh Yasser was mentioning, the music that's out there, the what we see in media, what we see on Netflix, what we see in the movies, it's all paving the way that when a satanistic temple is built, it's no big deal because people have been prepped for it. But the beauty is that we know is that we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that we are a believing community that brings light to this earth by bringing the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everywhere we go. So being someone who submits to God during these times is a badge of honor. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the most gentle of ways, make us his ibad.